This week has felt nothing less than a geopolitical suspense movie. On Saturday, March 21st, President Donald Trump issued a 48-hour ultimatum to Iran, stating that if Tehran did not fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz within that time, the United States would strike and destroy key Iranian power infrastructure, starting with its largest facilities. Shortly after, the Pentagon announced the deployment of 3 additional warships and marine units to the region, signaling a clear escalation. But then, on March 23rd, Trump announced a 5-day ceasefire, temporarily halting any military action on Iran's energy infrastructure. According to him, the reason was simple. Negotiations were underway, and both sides were gradually moving closer to an understanding. Now look at the other side. Iran's parliament speaker, along with its foreign ministry, rejected these claims outright, stating that there were no negotiations and no talks taking place. At the same time, Iran warned that any attack on its power plants would be met with direct retaliation against U.S. and Israeli infrastructure across the region. Tehran made its position very clear. It would target every fuel, energy, information technology systems, and even desalination infrastructure used by the United States and its Gulf allies. In simple terms, Iran is saying 2 things. First, it is not backing down. And second, if it goes down, the entire region and global trade will go down with it. So the real question is, how is Iran still holding its ground, while Washington appears increasingly eager to negotiate? Let's first understand how Iran is still managing to sustain itself in this conflict. There are a few possible reasons behind this. The first is external intelligence support. The Israeli Defense Forces have claimed to have dropped over 15,000 bombs alone since the conflict began. That suggests Iran's air defense network has taken significant damage, because without weakening air defenses, such deep strikes are not possible. And yet, despite this, Iran has continued to launch coordinated, multi-front drone and missile attacks, and has even claimed to have shot down a US F-35 fighter jet. Operations of this scale are difficult to sustain without some level of external intelligence input. There have also been reports of Chinese surveillance vessels operating in the Arabian Sea, along with the possibility of Russian battlefield intelligence support. But if you look at the broader pattern, it begins to raise an important question. The United States is simultaneously putting pressure on countries like Venezuela, Cuba, and Iran. Either they have resources, or they are close to global choke points, and all of them have strategic ties with Russia and China. That may not be just a coincidence. Now, of course, both China and Russia would deny direct involvement, but some form of back-channel assistance appears increasingly likely. The second reason is Iran's advanced ballistic missile capabilities. This is exactly why the United States has been pushing to include Iran's missile program in nuclear negotiations, something Iran has consistently refused. And now, that decision appears to be giving Tehran leverage, as these missile systems allow it to continue projecting power despite ongoing strikes. The third, and perhaps most important reason, is growing global pressure to de-escalate. The world is beginning to lose patience. From India's Prime Minister warning of a situation similar to COVID-era disruptions, to the Philippines declaring an energy emergency, the economic impact is becoming increasingly visible. In fact, disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz are already affecting global energy and fertilizer supply chains, raising concerns about a broader food crisis. Inflation is rising, markets are reacting, and the broader region is becoming unstable. And we also cannot ignore the ongoing Ukraine conflict. The United States is already heavily committed, financially, militarily, and politically, which means its resources are increasingly stretched as it tries to manage multiple crises at the same time. At the same time, U.S. officials have reportedly admitted uncertainty about who exactly they are negotiating with, due to Iran's complex internal power structure. This has created pressure from multiple countries on Washington to push for diplomacy. The message is becoming clear: talk before it's too late. And that is why you are now seeing renewed diplomatic efforts, including reports of a 15-point proposal from the Trump administration to end the conflict, even though some of those demands are next to impossible for Iran to accept. So what conclusion can we draw from all of this? The US-Iran situation is neither at a full-scale war nor at complete peace. It sits somewhere in between. And every day as this conflict continues, it is costing billions of dollars, a situation that simply isn't sustainable. That is why Washington has announced a temporary ceasefire. Think of it as a cooling off period, where back-channel negotiations and diplomacy can take place, while regional allies can push the United States to explore alternatives to direct military confrontation. How these negotiations unfold remains to be seen. But the real question is, after spending billions and escalating tensions across the region, has the United States actually achieved what it set out to achieve? I hope you found this analysis useful. Thanks for watching.